All right, everyone, welcome back to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this is for June 19th through the 25th of 2017. And as I always do say, this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. Essentially, we're looking at the actual size and location of the constellations, which is different from mainstream astrology. So we're going to start first with the collective reading, looking at the week for everybody. And then after that, get into the individual signs. So you'll definitely want to check that video out if you're new to make sure you're watching this video for the right sign. All right, so let's have a look at this week, everyone. We've got a new moon essentially on Friday, being the sort of pivot point of the week. So of course, as a lot of you know, this is an ending cycle now. As we approach a new moon, we will be in the balsamic phase, which is the last phase of the lunar cycle. So as we approach Friday, we could notice a bit of lowered energy, things dying down a bit. Again, really good for meditation, really good for listening to our inner guidance, maybe getting a bit of rest, basically clearing our emotions and clearing our thoughts in order to create space for the new beginnings, which are around the corner. So that's essentially what the new moon is a time of new beginnings, and it's usually very subtle. So around Friday, we may start to notice a bit of newness, but of course it does take time for the energy to get moving, right? As we get into the more illuminating aspects of the moon, we'll start to notice more energy, more momentum, and that sort of thing. So really good week for setting intentions, really good week for listening. It's a little bit of both. It's sort of seeing what new is coming into your life, while at the same time, with that sense of newness, also setting some intentions, right? Seeing what you do want to cultivate in the next 30 days and even in the next 6 months with all of this. So again, we will check to see after this collective portion which house this is for your signs. All right, so that's the sort of backdrop to this week. Coming into the week, we still have a lot of Taurus energy. Before we have this new moon, we're going to have the Sun and Mercury still in Taurus up until about Wednesday. So things are still very much about our resources coming into the week. Really good for, again, enjoying the simple life, our senses, good meals, relaxation, a bit of luxury perhaps. And again, as I always say with Taurus, having gratitude for the things we do have in our life, particularly on a material level. But things are certainly going to be shifting into Gemini. That's where the new moon is going to be. So I'll talk about this, but Gemini is all about inquisition. It's all about learning. All right, it's all about using our mind, practicality. This is what's being integrated during the new moon, and we could certainly start to see that shift about midweek around Wednesday. All right, leaving a bit more of that grounded Taurus resourceful energy. All right, so with that being said, Venus is in Aries, so all week long still, very good for directness in our relationships. There's a bit of fire or energy behind the relationship sector, or we're just a bit clear about who we are and what we want when relating with others. Whether they're just interactions randomly, everyday people on the street or whatever, or if it's your deeper relationships as well, or business partnerships or whatever, there is this sense of directness, this assertiveness, and again, clarity about who we are and what we want in life. So that's still going on. And of course, Mars has already been in Gemini, so that will be continuing, where when we are communicating, there is a sense of directness as well. Really good for learning at this time. And again, we'll cover this during this new moon because we are going to have it in Gemini. All right, so let's look at the aspects here coming into this week. These first couple days, there's a lot going on, as you can see, but these are all minor aspects. Okay, so I don't think it's going to be necessarily important. I mean, it might in your personal chart. Again, this is a collective reading, but collectively, just this sort of energy of really about, I think, healing on one hand and opportunity on the other. Okay, we do have some squares up to Chiron, the Sun and Mercury, who are getting closer to each other, mind you, as we approach Wednesday, is going to be squaring up to Chiron. So there could be some wounds coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday time. Really good for becoming more aware of them. If you do feel any wounds, any sense of inadequacy, trauma sometimes with Chiron, because that's, again, where we feel a bit wounded, inadequate, doubtful maybe with Chiron and Pisces. So really good to become aware of these wounds and knowing that it's an internal process, that as we become aware of these wounds and take action in the face of them, in the face of whatever we might feel wounded about, is really where the healing takes place. So action is always important with Chiron anyways, but especially when it's squares like this, because squares do sort of symbolize that there's this difference between what we're focused on here, maybe what we're thinking about with Mercury, and then, you know, what we want to pursue there, but then feeling the wounds about them. So the square is about integration. It's about taking action in the face of that, and through that action, feeling rejuvenated and healed as a result. So along with that, we do have some sextiles, and this is kind of coming off of Sunday where the Sun was sextiling Uranus. Mercury is going to be sextiling Uranus these 2 days, and Venus sextiling Neptune. So sextiles are about opportunities. They're about openings. We're not thrusted into the energy like we are with squares or trines. There's just kind of these opportunities that present themselves. So the opportunity, I think these 2 days, along with that healing I talked about, it is really good, I think, to start to see things differently. Start to see things from a different light, a different angle. All right, this is the Uranus energy here. All right, Uranus is all about change, as all these outer planets are about, but change for seeing things in a way that is different, open to newness, open to liberation, open to some freedom in our life, and maybe some excitement in our life as well. So it could be an exciting couple days if we choose to walk through those doors, if we choose to think about things in this new way. There could be some new intuitive insight, actually, with Mercury sextiling up to Uranus. Some innovative, progressive, different insight. Okay, so, yeah, thinking outside the box, great for mixing things up a little bit and just seeing things in a different light. So along with that, Venus is going to be sextiling Neptune. In fact, Neptune's in good aspect all week long. These first couple days, maybe in regards to those relationships I was talking about, maybe it's a bit easygoing. Maybe we're quite receptive in those relationships, which is nice. Again, just an opening here. Compassionate, understanding perhaps, and even quite imaginative. This is actually very creative energy, Venus sextile Neptune. All right, the things that we enjoy in life can very much be aligned with art, beauty, creativity, imagination. Things of this nature can be very enjoyable, and maybe even enjoying a bit of R&R, rest and relaxation, which again goes hand in hand with this whole lowering of energy phase that we'll be in this early part of the week. All right, so Wednesday we have an important conjunction, although this does happen quite a bit throughout the year. The Sun conjoining up to Mercury, or rather Mercury conjoining up to the Sun, does give us a lot of passion with our minds, a lot of self-expression. Maybe we're feeling quite talkative here around Wednesday, but it's mainly because there's a lot of fire and energy behind our mind and behind our communication, right? So this can be a challenging energy to work with because Mercury is what's called combust with this. Combust meaning Mercury is not visible in the sky, and the dominant force here is the Sun. So when it comes to our mind and communication, this can certainly be the case. The dominant energy here can certainly be this just wanting to express ourselves or just wanting to get all these ideas out. And a lot of times too, it just kind of happens automatically with this because again, Mercury is engulfed, so Mercury is not there in many ways. You know, the mind, the communications are just sort of, you know, happening automatically. So it is really good to bring some extra attention to the mind, especially if you are feeling a lot of the energy in those areas. If you're feeling it hard to concentrate, really good for, you know, presence awareness. Meditation often very much helps with this. But even writing things down, if you feel like journaling or writing down some ideas, this really very much symbolizes with this sextile up to Uranus, right? Synergizes with this. This is all about this early part of the week, maybe gaining some new ideas, and writing things down can certainly help with that. Maybe some passionate ideas, right? Talking about them, communicating about them, right? Maybe with friends, maybe with those we're close to, because this kind of energy, again, it's good to express it, and through the expression, we can become more aware of what these ideas are and what this insight might be, and just all in all helps balance it out when we're doing something tangible with it. And that's why the writing of it is very good as well. If you are dealing with anything involving contracts that do require, extra attention there. Make sure you're crossing those T's, dotting those I's, just because, again, the dominant energy is just us wanting to express without having to really think about it. But we want to bring in that extra thought, that extra awareness, right? Extra presence to our mind and to our communication, just to make sure everything is nice and balanced. Now, this is especially being emphasized because as this conjunction occurs, the Sun and Mercury are going to be shifting into Gemini here around Wednesday at that same time as that conjunction. So there very much is this new beginning here, even before the new moon on Friday. So the whole new beginning here is really with this shift towards the more practical side of life, Gemini. This shift of now starting to focus on communication, starting to focus on inquisition, learning, a bit more mental energy. We could be feeling quite rational, right? Again, quite practical, really good for practical things. Even if it's not communicative or writing or whatever, things that are tangible in nature are really good to focus on at this time with the sun. And I think we just naturally will be. So with this new beginning, which will be on Friday, this is a whole new integration now collectively for all of us of bringing in these Gemini qualities, bringing in this inquisitiveness, right? Wanting to learn, wanting to go about life in a way of wanting to learn. And there's a lightheartedness to this. This is the twins. And the lightheartedness is when we're willing to make mistakes. We're willing to learn through taking action, through error, right? And as long as we're open to learning, there's really not a whole lot of heavy energy with that, okay? Now, this new moon is going to be opposing up to Saturn. It is forming a T-square. I think there's some challenges with it, which I'm going to dive deeper into when I do the new moon report this week. But generally, collectively, I think bringing in this bit of, lightheartedness, willingness to learn. Because when we're willing to learn, it lightens things up. All right, so I think that's the foundation with it. But again, very good for curiosity, very good for sharing ideas, all right, reading a book, but also maybe writing a book, communicating with those around us, connecting with our peers, maybe even our siblings as well. Gemini's associated with that. And all in all, I think developing that inquisitiveness and, yes, practicality, rationality, seeing things in terms of how they can be practically implemented in our lives. All right, so, and it will be conjunct Mercury, of course, that new moon, because of that proximity, Mercury will be to the sun. Really emphasizing the Gemini qualities. Mercury is already associated with those very same things. So lots of this shifting here around Wednesday. And then on Friday, this sort of new beginning with this stuff. Again, we'll check to see what house this is, but I think we'll all start to notice this sort of newness about, yes, inquisitiveness, trying new things with learning and the practical stuff in life. All right, so that's about midweek there, and then going into the weekend, that new moon. And then after that, we may start to notice some new things. Again, give it some time. Going into next week will be great for actually moving that stuff forward and taking action towards a lot of that. But we do have some important aspects actually this weekend. Venus is going to be trining up to Pluto. Venus, the planet of, again, values and relationships, is in very good aspect this week. And this trine up to Pluto over the weekend, there can be some powerful changes with our values. Seeing things in a different way in terms of what we enjoy in life and who we enjoy connecting to. There could be some powerful changes in our relationships. And I think fundamentally, there's just this bit of depth in our relationships, a bit of intimacy certainly available with Pluto, and connectivity, connecting on that deeper level, connecting on that just more open level. And it can be very easy to do that. Unlike the sextiles, the trines are supportive. They just sort of happen automatically, and I think collectively to a degree, depending on your personal chart, but to a degree collectively there can be this this intimacy, this depth, this willingness to connect to the people we value in life and general relationships, as well as to the things we enjoy in life and value in life. And there can be this whole new shift to our value system actually when this aspect occurs. All right, so, and one more thing I want to say about Pluto is, Pluto's a deep planet, right? So it is about making some changes with some patterns. If you felt like there's some unhealthy patterns regarding relationships in your life, or some unhealthy patterns involving what you enjoy, sometimes we can overdo it with Venus. Sometimes it's too much of the luxury and the enjoyment and the simple pleasures and whatnot. Or maybe it's involving your finances and those values. But whatever it is, if you felt like there's been some unhealthy patterns that you can break, I think it's an excellent weekend to do that. We by no means will be challenged to do that, like as if it was a square. But there is this support. So if you take the initiative there, you're willing to, yes, break some patterns, it can be an excellent weekend for that. All right, so the last thing we've got this week is this Mars squaring up to Jupiter and trining up to Neptune, actually a very important aspect. With the square up to Jupiter, we could be feeling quite confident and even unconfident at the same time coming into this weekend, all right? So, and the whole weekend. So as I always say with squares to Jupiter, there can be this pendulum swing. And with Mars, it can have to do with our confidence. With Jupiter, it can have to do with hopefulness, inspiration, but then also maybe a lack of it as well. So with the pendulum swinging to both sides, it is important to first of all be aware of this and understand that there, yes, is opportunities. There are opportunities in our life, all right? But maybe we have to take some action towards that. Maybe we have to take some uncomfortable action, or maybe just action which we may not want to do, but it's good to do. And so if you are guided to take any actions towards any possibilities, any potentials, all right, that might require a bit of that mustering up of energy or mustering up of confidence to do, it can be a very good shift with all of this. This is a shift in a cycle. It's a cycle involving Mars and Jupiter, which in this case, the cycle is challenged in the sense that now we have to be proactive with the square to pursue those possibilities and potentials, okay? So along with that, though, Mars is trining up to Neptune, and this is going to be going into next week as well. There is a bit of flow with all of this, all right? So I think while that's taking place, there's this hopefulness and all this, or lack of it, I think there is this willingness to let go. I think Neptune's in very good aspect this week. I think it can be a very easygoing week. And with this willingness to surrender, willingness to let go, right? And through that, we're very receptive. We're willing to, yes, take the more receptive approach, to maybe take a step back and sort of surrender our own intentions, surrender our own ego, so that we can align to this flow of life, to this divine process. And we're willing to do this. And it can be a very beautiful energy, in fact. Direct yet receptive, flow of action, right? This type of thing. And having both confidence while at the same time, you know, working on that confidence with a square to Jupiter. At the same time, yes, being open to new things, being open to taking a step back, exerting the least amount of energy possible to get the job done, and just be, you know, open to changes along the life journey. All right, so that is the week in a nutshell. To sum this up collectively, there is this new moon on Friday. Going into it, this lowering of energy, this new beginning, starting to shape up. And I think just being very receptive to that, setting some new intentions around Friday is excellent. Coming into it around Wednesday, there is this shift towards the more inquisitive side of ourselves, certainly with Gemini. Communication could be emphasized, mental energy could be emphasized, and anything we can do to ground that, right, to bring attention to that, implement it through reading, writing, communication, can be excellent with that conjunction with the Sun and Mercury. Okay, and then over the weekend, yeah, there's a lot going on, I think, with changes to relationships, to our values, but also having this sort of understanding that we can take action towards the things we want in life and pursue the things we want in life, with both taking the action, but also both with the receptive approach to the divine process, to letting go of everything outside of our control, willing to do that so we can channel our energy into what we do have control over. All right, so now let's go and look at this individually for each of the signs. You can go down to the comment section. There is a timestamp next to each of the signs. I do recommend watching this video for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. Yeah, if you know what those are, great. If not, there is a birth chart calculator down there as well. You can find out. But yep, let's go and look at this more specifically for the signs. Welcome, Aries, to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at this new moon. It's going to be in your third house, so very much the same things I talked about in the general reading. But for you, maybe particularly these types of things that involve inquisition and learning. So some of you might be starting a new course at this time, new learning pursuits. Some of you might start to find that you want to start reading some books or some practical knowledge, maybe taking a practical course. Others, you may find this whole new beginning very much about your communication and the importance of communication in your life, both in your personal life and also in your professional life, which I think all professional careers to a degree do involve communication. So there's that side to it also. Some of you may find that there's a new beginning with your peers or your community, those around you that are of equal status, your peers, and even siblings as well. If there's anything involving siblings in your life, there could be a new beginning with that, maybe a new relationship with them or something, agreement or something like that. So that's Friday's the new moon. And so as we approach that, it is the lowering of energy time, but I think for you, it's a very active time. I mean, you've got all these planets here in the bottom left quadrant of your chart, even up until about Wednesday, you're going to have the Sun and Mercury in your second house. This is the house of still your finances and values. So you could be very much still focused on these material things in life and your resources in your life. And again, enjoying the simple life and all of this coming into the week. And maybe there's some healing you're doing coming into the week, though, as we all are collectively with the squares up to Chiron. But I think just generally there is this bit of very active energy, especially because you do have Venus in your first house. So a lot of you are enjoying a bit of activeness maybe in your relationships, right? Maybe you're doing active things with your partner or partners, maybe just enjoying a bit of active energy yourself, maybe quite direct in those relationships, maybe feeling good, looking good when Venus is in the first house, just having this receptive energy about you and this beauty about you at this time. It does make it really good for going to the salon and maybe getting some clothes, things like this to spruce up the self-image. But whatever it is, yes, it does seem like there is this forward-moving energy for you. But do be receptive because the energy is going to be dying down at the first half of the week, and you do want to listen to whatever these new beginnings are involving this very foundational part of your life, your mind, how you communicate, how you think about things, really understanding that, the third house is that practical perspective on things, how we can implement these actual steps towards cultivating the things that we do want to cultivate in life, how the mind plays a role in that. And this is really nothing new to you because you've had Mars already, your ruler, in the third house these past, I think it's been at least a few weeks now. So you're very direct, I think, with your communications already at this time. Maybe you are motivated towards some of this practical, inquisitive stuff, and that's certainly continuing this week as well. You may notice in a larger backdrop too that the energies are starting to die down though in a much larger cycle, because as Mars starts to make his way to your fourth house, you are going to notice that the energies are dying down. Maybe you'll notice that in a few weeks. So just a heads up with that, but really good for channeling this energy right now, I think, into ideas, mental stuff, to form that foundation with life. All right, so that's the shift. The shift here into your third house, you'll probably start to feel around Wednesday. Then the new moon is going to be on Friday with the new beginnings with all of these things that are third house related. And going into the weekend, Saturday, Venus is going to be trining up to Pluto. So again, from the first house, this could be some positive changes in maybe your relationships, patterns in those relationships. I think, though, it's very much for you about open-mindedness. I think there could be a bit of adventurousness actually going into the weekend, maybe with those one-to-one connections, or you're valuing a bit of adventurousness or open-mindedness, maybe philosophy. And positive changes to you in many ways when Venus is in the first house, maybe again to that self-image, maybe to how you see yourself, maybe to what you want to attract to you in life, not just relationships and enjoying those, but also your material life as well. Some of you might find there's some positive changes to your material security, maybe finances, things like that, which again has already very much been emphasized with all that second house energy. But powerful changes there nonetheless. Now, Saturday, Sunday is a very important time for you because your ruler is going to be forming a couple aspects, squaring up to Jupiter, trining up to Neptune. So there is this bit of, as I was saying, confidence, unconfidence, this sort of pendulum swing here, hopeful, uninspired, hopeful, then maybe not hopeful, inspired, not inspired. So if you are feeling that swing, I think where the opportunities for you is with your work and your routine, or anything you do on a daily level. So that's what's been expanding for you. That's what's recently started to move forward again for you, at least in the sense of you're still, learning a lot about this, and you can have a bit of luck with things like work or your routine. So know that the opportunities are certainly there, and take those steps, take those actions. I think if you're willing to do that after the new moon here, maybe towards some of these sixth house things, you'll find that you're taking it one step at a time, and you can certainly be cultivating these potentials here. Now, and also, with learning or communication, correspondence, whatever it is that you've been motivated towards with this third house. Now, on the same token, you're likely going to be very easygoing this weekend. I would imagine with your ruler trining up to Neptune, maybe it's a great weekend for friends, community, and maybe your aspirations. Maybe you're feeling quite inspired that, yes, you can cultivate your dreams, all right, your future hopes and wishes. There's motivation towards that. And and with your network circles, your friends, all of that's very supportive. But all in all, you're just, I think, very receptive, very open to going with the flow, very easygoing. And that could be a very positive force for you, again, in those areas. And this is all sort of pivoting on this whole new beginning with this practical stuff in your life. All right, so Aries, I hope you all have a fantastic week. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and share down below. Thank you for all of your support along the way, especially for those of you who have supported me in the past, liking and sharing these videos. I very much appreciate it. I do want to mention that I am now offering a course which used to be one-on-one, but now is a video course, which is making it more affordable and more convenient, actually, if you're more of a self-study type of person. So if you've been considering learning astrology, there is now a video course down in the comment section. I'll put a link for that. You can check that out. It's an 8-video course for learning all aspects of astrology, both the birth chart and the predictive work, kind of like we're doing here. So do check that out if you're interested. But wishing you all the very best week. Thank you again, and I'll see you all next week. Taurus, welcome to your weekly forecast. So let's have a look at your ruler, Venus, who is in the 12th house. I think although it has been an active time for you, and there is this greater sense of self-awareness and maybe pursuing your goals in life, it's also been a very spiritual time, or one of psychological discovery. When the ruler's in the 12th house, this is a very deep house, very much about connecting to our beingness, maybe exploring some of our own psychology, our deep psychology, past traumas, wounds, things like that, fears. But the whole process of the 12th house is that of acceptance and surrender, right? Accepting all aspects of self, all aspects of life, and also surrendering everything that we don't have control over, or that just would make our life easier. Not easier in a lazy sense, but easier in the sense that we're not stressed about it. We're not focused too much, on the density of things, and it can weigh on us. So letting things go can really create space in our life. And this is both psychologically and maybe even quite literally, physically in your life as well. So this is the 12th house, and the whole purpose of it is to find more peace, So I still think it's a great week for seeing what you can do to create more peace in your life, more acceptance, more surrender, and maybe getting some of that alone time, that meditative time, psychological time, right, can be excellent at this time. So it's also the balsamic phase. So I think as the ending of this phase is occurring this week, as we approach Friday, yeah, it's really good for going with that energy, going within, or just allowing this sort of rest or receptive approach to come into the picture. Now, with that being said, around Wednesday, we do have a lot of energy going into your second house. So it still will be, you know, this week, especially up until Wednesday with the Sun and Mercury in your first house. I think there's still, you know, focus on self. I think there's still motivation and drive that can certainly be implemented. But you're going to notice a shift probably around midweek going towards the resourceful areas of life, like finances, material security, investment, savings, things of this nature, or maybe just enjoying the simple life, good meals, relaxation. It's your house, actually, Taurus. So everything has to do with our resources. Now, you've already been very motivated here because you've had Mars in your second house. There's been energy. It's been a really good place to put your energy, you know, towards your values, towards the material life, towards cultivating your inner and outer resources. All right. So there's a whole new beginning with this, though, and you'll likely notice that shift, you know, starting to focus on this, on these resources more, and this maybe starting to see that there's a new beginning occurring, at least in a yearly sense, having to do with your finances, having to do with your resources. So really get around Friday to listen, see what is shaping up in your life, what new little seedlings are starting to be planted, and then plant some of your own, right? What are some new intentions you can set for the next 6 months, really, that have to do with your financial material security, your investments, your savings, and I think most fundamentally with your sense of self-worth. That yes, you can cultivate your values in life, and it's about mustering up that self-reliance, that inner resource, that self-efficacy, the belief that we can, you know, mustering that up so we can pursue these outer values. Again, this is no new territory for you as a Taurus, but certainly a new beginning relating to those things. All right, so with that being said, you know, we do have the Sun-Mercury conjunction here. There could be some insights, actually, maybe around Wednesday, something shifting, some energy. Maybe you're quite passionate about some of these values and things. But whatever it is, again, as I was saying, in the general, really good to maybe write down a plan, write down a budget, you know, communicate some of this stuff so it's out into the open, so it's tangible, it's practical, it's real. I think all of that is fantastic. All right, so that's the middle part of the week, and then as we go into the weekend, or actually, let me mention too, coming into this week, actually, your ruler is going to be sextiling up to Neptune. So as I was saying, this is a receptive sort of week coming into it. But especially for you, Venus in the 12th house, but then sextiling up to Neptune, I think you are willing to go with the flow coming into the week. I think you are. Maybe you will have an opportunity here to get some rest, relaxation, meditative time, whatever it is. Maybe you're seeing some possibilities with your career, actually, and how your career and your productive life can be, yes, more tranquil, more easygoing, more, you can be more accepting with it and bring in that more tranquil energy into it. Okay, I think that's something coming into the week. It's just an opening, but it could be certainly giving you that even more, you know, willingness to surrender and, you know, get the rest and go with the flow there. And it could be involving the career, productive life, you know, and bringing that energy into that area is certainly possible, even into your work and routine, actually. All right, so with that being said, yes, where I was going next was over into this weekend. Your ruler, Venus, is going to be trining up to Pluto. So there are some powerful changes with you. You know, this does happen twice a year, you know, on average. But, you know, it's very powerful when it happens, when Pluto trines the ruler. So there can certainly be this whole shift, this whole paradigm shift, actually, with you, where I think you're going to be willing to face some fears, to break some patterns. Pluto's been in your 8th house of transformation and change, and it's Pluto's house. Pluto's about the very, you know, the same very same things. So diving deep, but you're going to be willing to do this. It's easy with the trine. Okay, you're going to be breaking some patterns. I think there's this new you emerging out of the ashes from all of this. I think as a result, you'll be more open, more fearless, because you'll be more accepting, right? More accepting. Willing to create change. And so there could be some powerful changes, and it could be coinciding with this new beginning, again, having to do with your values in life, and this new beginning with you know, your material security and even your work perhaps, or your routine. All right, so with that being said, Saturday, Sunday, Mars does square up to Jupiter, trines up to Neptune. So again, more positive energy here towards the career. Neptune's very well aspected this week, over the weekend, especially. But yes, this could be some easygoingness in your relationships over the weekend and your relationship sector. Maybe again, alone time, that kind of thing. Maybe you are seeing that there are some potentials with your finances, right? With what is cultivating, what these new beginnings are with this. And even too, I think you're going to be seeing that there has been opportunities for you to express yourself, you know, this past roughly 9 months where Jupiter's been in your 5th house. There has been opportunities for you to express yourself, maybe have a bit of fun in your life, maybe cultivate some hobbies, interests, things like this, anything close to your heart. And so maybe taking some steps towards that this weekend. Maybe you'll feel that. Maybe there's some actions you can challenge yourself to take in order to cultivate some of this fun in your life, some of this creativity, you know, this playfulness, to cultivate these things that you're passionate about, that are close to your heart, right? That type of stuff. Really good weekend for taking the initiative to make that so. And as a result, you could, yes, cultivate more of those potentials there. All right, so Taurus, hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share. And I do very much appreciate all of you who have been supporting this channel in the past, liking and sharing these videos. I do want to mention that there is a new, I did make some changes with my astrology course that I was offering. It used to only be one-on-one. And so I made some videos for the course. So now it's an 8-video course you can also take the one-on-one too, but the video course is more affordable, and it's also, you can work on it at your leisure. So anyways, if you've been thinking about studying astrology, or it's something that you've wanted to learn more about, I put a link down in the comment section. You can check out that 8-video course. Let me know if you have any questions about it, but do check that out if you're interested. And yeah, have a great week, Taurus, and I'll see you all next week. Take care. Geminis, welcome to your weekly forecast, and happy birthday for you Geminis watching for your sun sign who have your birthday this week or these surrounding weeks. So all of you though, whether you're watching this for your sun, moon, or ascendant, you do have a new moon in this first house of yours. This is the house of new beginnings, very much so. It is the house of ourself, of our life, of initiation, taking steps, and of our goals as well. So a really good week here, especially around Friday, to set some new intentions for the year. New beginnings here certainly for you generally, and so listening around Friday, being receptive around Friday as to what these new beginnings might be, but also, yes, setting some new beginnings yourself. Great time for resolutions or writing things down, setting your goals, your intentions, so you can be very clear about them. And that's what Gemini is. That's what you're all about, is getting clear with ideas and how things could be implemented practically. So that's why it's so good to, yes, write it down, put it on your wall, whatever it is, journal about it, brainstorm about it, communicate about it, can all be great at this time. So it is going to be a subtle energy though coming into this week. You're still going to have a lot of planets in your 12th house, the Sun and Mercury, up until about Wednesday. So it's been a very spiritual time for a lot of you. A lot of you may be getting that R&R, bringing in a bit more rest and relaxation in your life. And so that's still, a subtle energy coming into the week. But around Wednesday, you're going to start to notice with the Sun and Mercury going into your sign that now there's more self-expression. There's more energy. There's more focus on self. Some more understanding. less fog, less uncertainty, more clarity in many ways. Give it time, of course, because again, there's a new moon here. It's a subtle energy. Things take time, but I think you will start to notice this shift. So great for all things relating to self, great for maybe exercise, energy, setting goals, being direct, setting intentions. All of this type of stuff could be great, Wednesday onward, and especially as we go into next week, once this whole lunar cycle starts to gain a bit of energy and momentum. I do want to say, too, coming into the week, you might be doing some healing. Mercury is going to be squaring up to Chiron. So Monday, Tuesday, if there's any wounds you can face or be more aware of, and then take action in the face of those wounds, I think is excellent. Okay, and through that, I think you will be healing. And I think you could be feeling quite rejuvenated, actually, and it could be what actually is catalyzing this new beginning for you around Wednesday onward. All right, so let's see. With that being said, yes, the new moon is going to be conjunct your ruler also. So there is this additional emphasis on a new beginning for you and a new beginning of you, maybe a new self-image, the way you present yourself, just who you are. You're just feeling this sense of freshness about you. All right, so let's see what else. Venus is in your 11th house, I think all week long, as it has been. I think it is a great time to be connecting with friends or your network circles, enjoying a bit of connectivity in groups. And if it's not more social like that for you, maybe with technology, innovation, science, and your ideals, your aspirations. All right, your personal aspirations can very much be enjoyable and can certainly be cultivated this week. Some positive energy with Venus. Monday, Tuesday, Venus will be sextile by Neptune. So yes, there could be some support for a lot of those things. Your self-expression might be easygoing, in fact, as well. Again, you could be enjoying all of this technological or group-oriented stuff at this time, progressive stuff. And it's just a great week for doing that. And Neptune in the 9th house has been showing you too about surrendering and letting go of everything outside of your control so you can have a bit of adventure in your life, a bit of freedom, a bit of expansion, and it could be a sort of open-minded sort of beginning to the week. All right, so yeah, especially because Mercury, your ruler, is going to be sextiling up to Uranus, so you can be feeling quite free, and liberation, maybe a bit of excitement, but we still have to cultivate that. Maybe there are some changes with your work or your career actually you could be making or enjoying coming into the week. All right, so yeah, the new moon's going to be on Friday. Subtle energy, new beginnings about you, where you're headed, that type of thing. And then as we get into the weekend, that Venus is going to be trining up to Pluto. So there could be some powerful changes in your relationships. Pluto's been in your 7th house, helping you over the past many years clear all of the garbage and all of the unhealthy patterns associated with relationships for you. All of the attachments to relationships, so you can enjoy them in a much more freer sense, a more accepting sense. Accepting of them, but also through them and also about them, through relationships, in relationships, and about relationships. So I think it's a very powerful weekend in that regard, and coinciding, I think, in many ways with this new beginning of you. Yeah, positive changes nonetheless. I think a lot of positive changes probably with your self-expression, you just feeling free that you can express yourself. You can have a bit of fun, enjoy your life, have a bit of playfulness, that kind of thing, and cultivate those aspirations, cultivate those future things. All right, and maybe a bit of again, networking or connecting with your friends can be powerful as well. All right, and then Saturday, Sunday, the Mars in your 1st house, which is giving you a lot of this directness you've already been feeling. And maybe even confidence lately, even though it's been a very receptive and spiritual and deeply psychological time. But anyways, over the weekend, yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Mars squares up to Jupiter. And you could be feeling a bit like, yes, there is some potentials with your home life, maybe, your location, maybe with family, maybe with your health. But maybe there's some actions to take with it. Maybe there's some steps. Maybe there are uncomfortable steps or uncomfortable actions that if you do take, you may find that you are able to cultivate those opportunities. So that's the square from Mars to Jupiter. Do be aware of that. I think it will be, again, associated with this new beginning of you and how you can continue to expand with the personal side of life. Home, family, location, health, all of these types of things are expanding And maybe there's some actions to channel your energy into that in some way. Might be uncomfortable, not so much uncomfortable, maybe it's just requiring a bit of, know that there's opportunities, know that there's potentials, and then take that step that might require that confidence there. All right, and then that Mars will be trining up to Neptune. So over the weekend, you could also be quite open-minded, adventurous, perhaps maybe doing something that expands your horizons. Can be very easygoing. And maybe your routine's quite easygoing. And again, all this stuff relating to your aspirations or your network circles as well. All right, so Geminis, have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares. I do have an announcement to make. I did make some changes to the astrology course that I offered. It used to only be one-on-one, through Skype. But now I have the 8 video session. So it's a video format. It does make it more affordable and more convenient to study at your own pace. So if that's been something you've been considering, learning astrology, do check that course out. It does cover both birth chart analysis as well as predictive analysis like we're doing today. So check that link out. It's down in the comment section. I'm wishing you all the very best week. Thank you again for all of your support, and I will see you all next week. Cancers, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you have a new moon in your 12th house this week. This is the house of spirituality. It's the house of finding peace in life. In my opinion, is the most important house in the Zodiac wheel because it is about coming full circle back around to finding that spiritual liberation. Basically what every philosopher, every spiritual person, everyone is ultimately trying to strive for, whether they're aware of it or not, is really to find this inner peace, this inner bliss, this true happiness in life, which is actually a spiritual process. One of accepting where we're at, being present, and being, connecting to our beingness, being at peace. That can be very liberating, and I think this is what this whole cycle is about. So you may or may not be feeling this already. You have had Mars in your 12th house, but maybe that's been more about how you're getting things done, maybe just feeling a bit more receptive in that approach. But you're certainly, I think, around Wednesday, going to start to feel more of this shift into your 12th house as the Sun and Mercury go into your 12th. So there's a shift about midweek, and it is going into the deeper aspects of your beingness, both your consciousness and your mind going into this area. So I think it's really good for setting intentions, especially around Friday with the new moon, to see where you can have more peace in life, or where you can get more alone time, more rest, more relaxation maybe. And if there's anything you might feel like you want to do that's tangible, practical to facilitate this process, such as meditation, or maybe doing some writing, because writing and automatic journaling and all of this can be very, very peaceful, very tranquil, can help us, do all this. And even maybe learn about your psychology, right? Learn about the deeper aspects of yourself, maybe where you do have some traumas, where through accepting some of these deep traumas, as we all have, we liberate ourselves, we free ourselves, facing some fears, maybe becoming more aware of them, learning about them. And yes, learning about psychology in general, maybe how the subconscious works, or maybe learning about spirituality, if you're more inclined towards that area, how, you know, these ideas about like the Christed Buddhic type of teachings about finding peace and acceptance and compassion. Yes, there's a lot to learn about this. So all of you are going to be feeling this in different ways, but I think fundamentally with all of this, just sort of around Friday, and even this week, because as we come into this week, we are going to be in the ending phase of this cycle. So it's a good time to be meditative anyways. But around, around Wednesday, you'll likely notice that shift. And so just kind of listen, see what new things are shaping up, and then maybe around Friday, setting some intentions where, yes, you can bring in some more peace in your life. And as a result, you know, you're becoming more accepting, more easygoing, and that sort of thing. Really good for music, really good for art, imagination, listening to your dreams, you know, all this receptive stuff. All right, so with that being said, you know, Wednesday, you might have some insights about some of this when Mercury conjoins up to the Sun. There is certainly this interesting dynamic where that conjunction happens right as the planets go into your 12th house. So maybe something you are learning, or maybe some sort of new information or something that then helps you dive deep here and go through this inner spiritual process. So very good there. And if you do feel like there's a lot of energy behind it in some way, you know, channeling that energy in whichever way that, you know, maybe something active or expressive or energizing that helps you, you know, bring in more peace and balance. Sometimes exercise, going for a run, things like that can actually help us be very present. But whatever it is, yeah, I think channeling it into presence, right? Which you can be present doing anything. But presence is really the key here. All right, so that's the shift. And coming into this week, yes, balsamic phase, lowered energy. We do have some opportunities here. Venus sextiling up to Neptune here around Monday, Tuesday. This is maybe some more opportunities with your career, actually. There still is a lot of career emphasis. Venus is up in that 10th house. I think some of you are maybe enjoying your career, maybe meeting some relationships or cultivating some relationships through your career, feeling inspired towards your career, maybe. Things like that, or anything productive there. And there is some opening, some positive support for a lot of those things. And then after that new moon on Friday, so this weekend, that Venus is going to be trending up to Pluto. So again, more positive support for that at the end of the week as well. Even your home life. Maybe not only can you be, in this case, maybe making some changes to your career, maybe not major, but some sort of change or some sort of transformation occurring where you're seeing a different value, what you value in your career in a different way. And but also maybe with your home life. Maybe also with your personal life. Maybe there's going to be some powerful changes this weekend to your health, to your family, to your home life, things like this, and how that fits into and applies to all this more achievement-oriented stuff in your life, which you can certainly be, again, enjoying and attracting to you at this time. Maybe powerful changes with your work. Yes, especially with Pluto in the 6th house, right? So it might be coinciding with this new beginning, okay? But again, it's all supportive. It's all about this new shift with your spiritual beingness. Now, Saturday, Sunday, Mars does square up to Jupiter and Neptune. So this is a reminder this weekend that, yes, there are opportunities here to learn for you. Jupiter's been in your 3rd house. Could be a great weekend for picking up that book or continuing to study the book or the course, or maybe teaching yourself, maybe writing yourself, writing that book. Whatever it is that involves the mind and communication, maybe even business and trade for some of you, some opportunities there. Whatever it is. Yes, seeing that there might be some over-optimism and then under-optimism with it, but no, the opportunities are there, but maybe they're just requiring some action, some steps. How you can bring in both the receptive aspects of life which you're developing at this time, but then also take the action towards learning, inquisitiveness, practicality, practical knowledge, reading, writing, anything in that department which already has been an opportunity, I think will continue to be so, but might require that action to cultivate this weekend. Now that Mars is going to be trending up to Neptune, so there is a lot of positive support for the spiritual stuff. Could be an easygoing weekend for you. Maybe you're feeling a bit at ease with your self-expression, and maybe even at ease too with the career stuff, which is, again, a supportive area for you this week. All right, so Cancers, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your support with these videos, liking, sharing, and commenting. I do have an announcement to make. I am offering a video course now. I used to just do courses via one-to-one Skype, but based on popular demand, I decided to make videos. So it's more affordable now, and you can also go at your own pace with learning. Which is great. So if you've ever been thinking about, studying astrology, learning how to read a birth chart, and also how to do predictive work like we're doing here today, do check that course out. There's a link down in the comment section for that. All right, so Cancers, hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you again, and I will see you all next week for the new moon report. Take care. Leos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you got a new moon in your 11th house, the house of aspirations, and also the house of friends and network circles. New beginning here around Friday. So you'll start to notice, I think probably around Wednesday, once we have the Sun and Mercury going into the 11th house, that I think you've already been motivated towards your aspirations lately, these past few weeks, maybe about technological things, innovation, and again, maybe to connect with your network circles. But now the Sun and Mercury to join the mix on Wednesday really emphasizes this shift. And so, yeah, you can start to be focusing now more on this area. There can be some certainly new beginnings with this area going into next week. So midweek, really good to listen, especially around Friday, to see what are these new beginnings that are shaping up, what energizes you, what gives you passion and energy about your aspirations, about technology, about connecting with your friends or your network circles, right? Or anything involving the future in any way. Even, astrology is 11th house because it's about future prediction when it's about that, right? Or social media, or anything innovative, or science even, a lot of you new beginning with this. So very nice, and that could be, again, the source of energy for you with the sun, but it's also a receptive time, so do be listening, because I think you'll find that there is, this subtle new beginning that you can connect to on a spiritual level as well, and build those spiritual foundations with it, that receptive connection to it. With that being said, you could be very communicative actually around Wednesday, when Mercury goes over your ruler, the sun. So yes, if you are very expressive, maybe talkative, maybe there's a lot of energy, it's hard to concentrate, or maybe you're just very passionate actually about this new beginning surfacing, or this new shift. Yeah, great to cultivate all of that in healthy ways. Again, extra attention on the mind and on the communication could be important, since Mercury is going to be engulfed by your ruler. And extra attention on anything that does involve, that will need, accurate communication, accurate correspondence. Again, good to bring extra attention there, but nonetheless, maybe get some of these ideas out on paper, maybe express them with a friend or something like that, or maybe just connect with your friends. Again, generally, the 11th house, it's just a great time for that. All right, so coming into the week, though, as we approach this new beginning and the shift around Wednesday, I do want to mention that the sun is going to be squaring up to Chiron, so your ruler squaring Chiron around Monday, Tuesday. Maybe coming into this week, you could be feeling maybe some wounds. It might be involving the career stuff, possibly, but I think it's fundamentally just maybe some wounds about you, about where you're headed, or your confidence, things like this. Maybe it's deep with Chiron in the 8th house for some of you, but whatever it is, know that it's an internal subjective thing. It doesn't represent the actual external reality. That yes, you can cultivate your career, you can cultivate your goals, you can cultivate deeper intimacy and openness in your life, but maybe there are some actions you can take in the face of these wounds, in the face of these fears. And in that process, it will help you heal, it'll help facilitate this. And as a result, I think you could be feeling quite rejuvenated actually on Wednesday. In fact, it could all be part of this with your sun shifting sign conjunct Mercury right after that square up to Chiron. Could be that this healing process coming into the week is what facilitates this whole new beginning about your aspirations and maybe about connecting with community or your friends, network circles, things like that. All right, so yeah, that's the new moon, subtle time. As we go into next week, you'll start to notice more of these new beginnings unfolding, so do give it time. But this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Venus is going to be trining up to Pluto, so there could be some powerful changes about your career this weekend. In fact, Venus is helping you enjoy maybe a bit of adventurousness in your life. Could be, again, a great week, and especially a weekend for enjoying a bit of travel, adventure, open-mindedness, connecting with those abroad, maybe over the internet. A lot of it's involving relationships, perhaps. So yes, enjoying expansion, or maybe enjoying a bit of philosophy, spirituality, higher learning, things like that. But yes, this weekend, maybe there's a powerful change to your career. Maybe there's a powerful change to your communication and the way you think about things. And probably a powerful change too, I think, to your belief systems, actually. So notice that, be aware of that. And I think the more open you are to change, just more fuel for this. And I think this is the power and change of you expressing yourself, right? I mean, you're Leo, but some of you, this is your moon sign or your ascendant sign. So cultivating more of this self-expression in a way that's facing your fears, all right? And enjoying the things in life, having a bit of fun in life. Maybe it requires facing some fears to do that when Pluto's in the 5th house, as ironic as that might sound. Or it's contradictory. Okay, so yes, very good here, and there's a lot of support for all of us to make powerful changes on a deep level, and I think maybe involving those key areas for you. And also seeing too that this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, when Mars is squaring Jupiter, that there are opportunities here for you materially with your financial life. Okay, so this has been Jupiter in your 2nd house the past 9 months. There has been opportunities for you to expand your material security, your finances, your investments, your sense of self-worth, your resources, both inner resources, your sense of self-worth, self-reliance, that yes, you can cultivate your values in life, but also your external ones such as finances as well. So maybe there's some actions you can take. Maybe you're feeling hopeful, but then also not hopeful about this stuff. But trust me, there are opportunities here. And so maybe there's a step you can take in that direction this weekend to, yes, seize those opportunities, take action towards them to cultivate them in a larger picture sense. But here, just taking that step, which can then get things moving to continue to cultivate those possibilities with the resources in life. Now, Mars is also trining Neptune, so there is support here. I think maybe it's a really good easygoing weekend for relationships, one-to-one connections, maybe with your home or family, in fact. And again, maybe quite adventurous or free-spirited this weekend. Okay, and surrender, letting go of these aspirations is going to come easy. I think you are willing to let go of everything outside of your control with these aspirations, or maybe with this network circle stuff or organizational stuff you're a part of. Maybe some of you humanitarian, in fact, too, progressive, global for some of you. But yeah, lots of positive support for that. Listen around Friday. I think you'll notice a lot of new beginnings starting to surface next week, but it'll be based on this connection that you're doing this week to this area. All right, so Leos, have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your likes, comments, and shares. It's very much appreciated, very much supports this channel, and helps spread the word of Sidereal Astrology. I do want to say that I've recently made a change to the course that I was offering for learning astrology. It used to just be one-on-one courses via Skype, but based on demand, a lot of you have asked about a video course. So I have made a video course. It's the exact same course, but in video format. more affordable, and also you can learn it at your own pace, which makes it very convenient for that as well. So if you are interested in learning astrology, either reading a birth chart or predictive analysis, this course has it all. It's both birth chart and predictive work. So do check that out if you're interested. But Leos, have a fantastic week, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Virgos, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you got a new moon in your 10th house of career, of productivity, of achievement and success when it comes to productive successes in your life, your legacy. So whatever that is for you, usually generally career, but it's not always for profit or anything like that. There is a new beginning here around Friday. And I think a lot of this is a new beginning with you because the new moon is going to be conjunct your ruler, Mercury. So coming into the week, though, you're likely going to notice there's still a lot of emphasis on your 9th house. Some of you are learning philosophy, higher learning in general, maybe traveling, adventurousness, or philosophy, spirituality. But there's going to be a shift around Wednesday towards more focus towards your career, because I think you've already been quite motivated here in this area. You've had Mars in the 10th house these past few weeks, so there has been drive, intention, motivation towards cultivating these achievements in life. But now you get the Sun and Mercury, and your ruler coming in here really emphasizes this area. So, Wednesday, you could be feeling quite expressive with Mercury over the Sun with that shift. Maybe there's a new insight about your productive life or about yourself here that's fueling these new beginnings. It could be quite, even though it's the ending phase, when the Sun's over your ruler like this, yes, there can be a lot of passion, or maybe you're just very talkative, very expressive. And at the same time, though, because there's a lot of energy, maybe it is hard to concentrate or relax. So it is good for things like meditation, which we may not feel guided to do or, want to do. But it can help calm the mind if it is like that for you. Or again, tangible things like reading, writing, sharing these ideas, and all this can help balance this out. So there is energy behind it, and there is insight, I think, with this, and it is starting, it's shifting here around Wednesday into this very productive area of your life. Now, I do want to mention that coming into this week, Monday and Tuesday, your ruler is going to be squaring up to Chiron. So coming into the week, you might feel some wounds, okay? And they might have to do with more of the learning or bigger picture stuff you've been involved with. It may have to do with relationships for you. It may have to do with your sense of self-worth or finances in some way. But whatever these wounds are, do be aware of them. Know that they're internal, they're subjective, they don't actually represent your objective reality. In other words, you're very good with these areas. If you do feel wounds about them or about anything, trust me, you're very good here. It's just that you have to go through this inner process, as we all do from time to time, of accepting and healing these wounds. So taking it head on with the square is always good. Facing the wounds, regardless of what it is, relationship stuff or your adventurous side or your values, face it head on, and I think you're going to find that through that process, it is healing you. It's rejuvenating you. In fact, with Mercury sextile Uranus coming into the week, you could be feeling quite different, like wanting to mix things up, try some new and different things. Maybe it is involving relationships where it has been emphasizing the importance of freedom in your relationships the past like 8 years with Uranus and Pisces. So freedom is emphasized. There's an opening for that, but also healing some wounds. And that can leave you feeling quite rejuvenated. And it could even signal the shift. It could be the sort of the catalyst to what is now starting to shift, where you're going to, I think, start to focus more on this productive life and achievement and success, or whatever this is. And so around Friday, do listen around that time, because even though it is a great time to set intentions, there is a lot that is starting new that life is giving us and life is presenting to us. So we do want to be receptive to that. Give these new beginnings some time. I think a lot of them will be cultivated, going into next week. But certainly listen around Friday, and with whatever new beginnings you do see here, plant some seeds of your own as well. And over the coming days, you'll start to see these little seedlings starting to sprout. And again, as I was saying, a lot of this is about you. Right? It's about you. Conjunct your new moon, conjunct your ruler. New beginning with who you are, what you want, your goals, where you're headed, even your self-image for some of you, but your whole perspective on self. And it could be a great new time for you, a fresh new start, and maybe involving this productive type of stuff. So this weekend, we do have Venus trining up to Pluto. So there is some good supportive energy, I think, here for the deeper connections. I think Venus in your 8th house has already been helping you, and will all week help you connect to your relationships on a deeper level, vulnerability, things like that. Maybe they're transforming your relationships, in fact, and your finances as well. Maybe there's some powerful changes there this weekend, actually, involving your value system. As I was saying in the general, but this is very personal for you because Venus rules your 2nd house. Your whole perspective on what you value in life, it will likely be changing, or there's some patterns you can be breaking with them this weekend, and also too with your belief systems. And this is all going to require, I think, diving deep, but you're going to be willing to do that. I think you have been willing to do that. You've been seeing the value of diving deep, right, and connecting to what matters most in life, and transformation and healing and all this, of the 8th house of Venus there. Venus is benefic, helping you, enjoy actually this process and see the beauty of this process. But now with a nice positive triumph from Pluto, yes, around Saturday in particular, yes, powerful changes to your values, powerful changes to you in the sense of breaking some patterns, becoming aware of some fears, facing some fears, but you're willing to do that. And feeling quite expansive as well, changing your belief systems in terms of what's possible. Now, Saturday and Sunday, Mars does square up to Jupiter and trines Neptune. So regarding this career stuff, yes, I think there is some opportunities perhaps this weekend. But I think the opportunities are about you becoming independent. I think that's where the opportunities have been the past 9 months, for you to gain independence in your life, to, yes, expand your horizons perhaps, tap into that adventurous spirit. A lot of this has started to shift since last week, since Jupiter's gone direct in your sign. But now, over this weekend, maybe there are some actions you can take. Maybe there's some confidence to muster up in order to take those steps towards expanding your horizons, towards your independence, right? So maybe some things to consider, taking the steps towards cultivating those opportunities with this weekend. And on the same token, Mars trining Neptune does give you a bit of flow with the routine, perhaps, or maybe again with the career. Maybe a bit of flow with your thinking, your communication, and again, feeling quite deep, open, and intimate, which is a very good energy for you at this time. All right, so Virgos, have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. For those of you who've been supporting the channel, very much appreciated. I do want to mention that I've made some changes to the astrology course that I was offering. It used to be one-on-one only. But now it's video courses as well. So there's a course there. It's the exact same as the one-on-one course, but in video format, which does make it more affordable and more convenient for you to learn at your own pace. So if you've been interested in studying astrology, do check that out. There's a link down in the comment section for that. Yeah, Virgos, wishing you the very best week. Thank you again for all of your support, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Libras, welcome to your weekly forecast. So this week we've got, yes, Venus still in your 7th house, right? So I think as a backdrop, as it has been already, maybe a time of emphasizing relationships. Really good for connecting on that level, maybe quite deep and open in those relationships, perhaps, or just enjoying a bit of that, deeper connection. And all interactions, I think, just being emphasized at this time. So with that being said, you do have a new moon in your 9th house this week here on Friday. This is the house of adventure. It's the house of philosophy. It's the house of your belief systems, thinking big, seeing potentials in your life. So a lot of you have already been motivated towards this area with Mars there. Maybe a lot of you are motivated towards travel, maybe to study philosophy, maybe just to put some energy into these possibilities in your life and thinking big. But now you got the Sun and Mercury going into that house here around Wednesday with the conjunction with the two of them, which means around Wednesday, not only noticing perhaps this shift of focus more into this larger stuff in life and this larger picture of your life path, of where you're headed, and a top-down view of, yes, you can cultivate your possibilities. But there's also this transformation because this conjunction is happening right in between your 8th house and your 9th house, which is the part of the chart that has to do with transformation. I think it has been deep, and maybe even coming into the week, Monday, Tuesday, still very much a deep time of, yes, being vulnerable with life. Yes, making some changes that, require facing some fears, maybe breaking some patterns, learning more about yourself psychologically. All of this deeper stuff has been emphasized. But around Wednesday, this shift into then the butterfly out of the cocoon and looking down at life from the top-down perspective and being free. The 9th house is about freedom, but freedom of accessing that adventurous spirit for life. That just spirit for life, just basically spirit for life is the 9th house, and this could be very expansive. So it is a receptive time, the new moon, so this is all going to be unfolding in the coming weeks. There can be some passion with this, with the Sun-Mercury conjunction, right? Maybe about some of this stuff. Again, maybe there's an insight or information or something like that that's facilitating this shift. But do give it time, right? Subtle around Friday. Certainly set some intentions where you can expand your horizons, but also be receptive to what life is helping you cultivate here in this area. And connect to that emotionally and spiritually, because the new moon is a spiritual time. And then next week, you're going to notice that there is more energy in this area, more things are unfolding in this area, and a bit of momentum being built regarding these things. But certainly a transformation, certainly coming out of a very deep period with all those planets in your 8th house. And I do want to mention, coming into this week, your ruler Venus will be sextiling Neptune. So yeah, even though it's, this deep, it's nothing new to you. You've already been experiencing this for the past month and a half. But you have Venus sextiling Neptune, so I think you're quite easygoing coming into the week. I think you are receptive. You're willing to go with the flow. Again, there could be some positive energy there for your relationships, and yeah, all one-to-one connections with the 7th. So yeah, that's Friday. The new moon conjunct Mercury does suggest that there's also this new beginning about peace in your life, maybe even just feeling, more peaceful. I'm getting that strong vibe with Neptune and Venus and Mercury, your 12th house ruler, conjunct the new moon. Surrendering, letting go, all right? Letting go of everything outside of your control and just bringing in a bit more acceptance and peace. It can be very easy. I think it's happening very naturally at this time. So after the new moon here, after this new beginning with this more expansive stuff in your belief systems, right? Maybe higher learning, whatever it is, travel for some of you. Venus is going to be trending up to Pluto Saturday. So yes, there's a transformation to you occurring later in the week as well. I think it's all happening in steps. I think it's all part of the same thing. I think your relationships could be transforming around Friday. It depends on your personal chart. It could be major or minor, but you have Pluto trining the 7th house, helping you make some positive changes, maybe breaking some patterns with those relationships, but you're willing to do it, or face some fears, but you're willing to do it. And so you're on the side of making the changes here with the trine to Pluto. So use this time. There's a lot of support for that. And again, fundamentally, it is about you. I think it might be about relationships, or the theme might be about it, but essentially when your ruler is trining Pluto, it's you who's changing. It's you who's letting go of some patterns, breaking some patterns, and you're willing to do that again. So yes, put the energy into that, be willing to make those changes, and you're going to, I think, find that that's more fuel to the fire where you're transforming this week. All right, so Saturday, Sunday, Mars trines up to Jupiter. So this is a reminder that, yes, this past 9 months has been a time of opportunity for you to get your rest and your relaxation, or work behind the scenes, or, connect to music and the more imaginative and receptive and dreamy aspects of yourself in healthy ways and positive ways. So whether it's meditation for you, whether it is listening to music, whether it's getting your rest or relaxation, opportunities are moving forward for you. And this weekend, maybe taking some steps towards that. How can you integrate both the spirit for life as well as maintain your peace, maintain your receptive opportunities here, okay? And learning about the importance of the spiritual life, and how spiritual life does play a role in the life path, and integrating the two. So great weekend for both adventure, but also rest, expansion, but also acceptance. And I think you finding that combination, that integration, could be a very powerful force for you. Now, Mars trining up to Neptune, and again, it's involving relationships too, by the way. Mars does rule your 7th house, so opportunities with that, but taking some steps with that, something like that. Could be over and under optimistic about these things, right? About your adventurous expansion, about relationships, about peace, but it's about taking the steps to cultivate those potentials, okay? But anyways, Mars trining Neptune means there is easygoingness in your relationships, easygoingness with your values, and maybe even too with some of these potentials, or this belief system that's starting to shift. And you just feeling quite easygoing to express yourself, actually. Maybe have a bit of fun over the weekend with Neptune in the 5th house, which is a type of fun which is maybe more spiritual, or more about letting go, or more about peace, things like that, which has been emphasized for you. All right, so Libras, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below. Thank you for all of your likes, comments, and shares of these videos and helping spread the word about Sidereal Astrology. I do want to mention that I've recently made a change to my Sidereal Astrology course. It used to be only one-on-one courses, but now I've added video courses to it. So it does make it more affordable, and also easier for you if you're more self-paced and you like to study at your own leisure. Do check that out if you're interested in studying astrology. It covers both birth chart analysis as well as predictive analysis in the video format. All right, so Libras, have a great week. Thank you again, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Scorpio and Ophiuchus, welcome to your weekly forecast. All right, so let's have a look at this new moon. It's in your 8th house. It's very close to your ruler, Mars, who's also in the 8th house. So this is the house, it's your house, actually. It's the house of transformation. It's the house of change. It's the house of psychology. It's the house of understanding more about ourselves on a deeper level, more about life on a deeper level, research, uncovering hidden things, healing. So it's already been emphasized for you because, again, your ruler's been here. So these past few weeks, I think it's already been a deeper time, a time of exploring yourself on a deeper level, by exploring what really matters most to you in life. But there's been a motivation behind it, and that's certainly still there. Maybe some of you are researching, uncovering hidden things about the world, occult, or conspiracies that do exist, things like that. But also fundamentally just about your own psychology, maybe facing some fears, becoming aware of some traumas, some inhibitions that as you accept and heal and really just become more aware of, it's very liberating, very transformational. And that's what this new moon is all about, transformation for you. I think you'll start to notice more of a shift towards this deeper stuff, adding to it anyways, once the Sun and Mercury start to shift into the 8th, which will be around Wednesday. And that conjunction could signal maybe something new starting, or a new perspective, or some sort of new information that then serves as the catalyst for this deeper diving, because again, you're already doing it. So this is also suggesting that there has been an emphasis on relationships already. That's what the whole last cycle was about. So coming into the week, you might still very much be focused on relationships or one-to-one connections, things of that nature. But then the shift going into the deeper. Maybe it's deeper in your relationships. Maybe it's more vulnerability in your relationships. Maybe, too, some of you, all of this new beginning and this shift might be about shared resources, right? The importance of having healthy interdependency and relying on others a little bit, right? In a balanced way, in a healthy way. Working with other people's money, or working with debt in healthy ways, loans in healthy ways. So if it is more material like that for you, but I think fundamentally for all of you, it's about emotional interdependency, right? That in our relationships, we can have trust. We can trust another with, our feelings and who we are on a deep level in all of this. So that could certainly be unfolding if it's relationship related. But again, fundamentally, this is about you becoming more in tune with and building a relationship with your deeper self during this time. And so new beginnings with this around Friday, sort of listen, right, regarding these 8th house matters. Also inheritance, by the way, again, also associated with other people's money. But new beginnings here, and listen, and then you'll start to notice next week a lot of this transformation, a lot of these patterns, a lot of this sharing, whether it's emotional or physical sharing that's taking place, is starting to unfold in such a way that you're implementing it, you're moving it forward, you're cultivating it. So essentially you can connect to what matters most in life. That's what the 8th house is about, connecting to what matters most, connecting to meaning, all right, connecting to the deep truth, the truth, whether it's the truth psychologically or quite literally information, because, Scorpio and Ophiuchus, Gemini is your 8th house. So a lot of times this is about information, all right, so or communicating the truth as well. All right, just connecting to it as close as we can, because of course there's always layers. So just going in a pace and a speed that's comfortable for you of going through these layers of life, layers of self, layers of your connection to your relationships. All right, so that's the Friday shift, subtle, great time for listening. Again, it's going to be the balsamic phase coming into this week, so good time for being receptive anyways. And then this weekend, your ruler, Mars, squares up to Jupiter and trines Neptune. So very important weekend, actually. I feel like this is a reminder that there has been opportunities, and a lot of these have started to move forward since last week, regarding your aspirations. Okay, that's Jupiter in the 11th house. And this is about your future. This is about your hopes and wishes. It's also about your friends and your network circles. So know that there are opportunities here to cultivate your future hopes and aspirations, as well as to cultivate your friends and your network circles and your community. But maybe there's some actions you can take this weekend that, because you may be feeling a bit over and under optimistic about it, yes, taking the steps, taking the actual steps. Know that the opportunities are there because they are, and initiating it perhaps, or, you know, taking it one step at a time, building it. This is a larger picture energy, right? This is a cycle involving Mars and Jupiter, but taking the step in the right direction, in that direction, towards those opportunities, to seize them, to cultivate them, to maybe just learn more about them, is great at this time. Now, with that being said, I think this weekend you're going to be quite easygoing. Mars is going to be trining up to Neptune, the planet of surrender, the planet of letting go, the planet of flow. And so you're flowing, you're easygoing, I think. And a lot of this might have to do with, again, connecting to life on a deeper level, but maybe your routine's flowing as well, your day-to-day. And maybe even, too, a lot of this is about your home life, your family life, right? There's some easygoingness there, maybe with health as well, connecting to your body, listening to your intuition. All right, very easygoing, very supportive. And even though there's this maybe challenge, not really a challenge with Jupiter's benefic, but this step you can take or something here this weekend towards these opportunities. Be grounded with it. Be balanced as you can with it. But there's a lot of support with it. And I think a lot of the support is this this receptivity you're going to have this weekend, this willingness to let go of everything that is outside of your control. And again, develop all of this stuff that truly matters in life, to connect to life on that level. All right, so Scorpion and Fucus, have a fantastic week. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share down below your experiences with the community. But I also want to say, too, that I did make some changes to the astrology course that I was offering. It used to only be Skype sessions, but now I have added recorded videos. So there's 8 videos in the course. If you've been interested in studying astrology, such as birth chart astrology and also predictive astrology, like what we're doing here, this course has it all. So do check that out. There's a link down in the comment section for that. And again, wishing you all the very best week, and I'll see you all next week. Sagittarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So you got a new moon in your 7th house of relationships this week. It's all about one-to-one connections. Could be romantic relationships, marriage relationships, business partnerships, new relationships with your friends, whatever it might be. But I think it's a whole new take on just relationships in general, connecting with others. So very good week for setting intentions about this. Around Friday, really listening to see what new beginnings are surfacing here. It's great for new relationships. I think it's a great time to cultivate new ones, but also existing ones can take on a sense of newness about them and this new beginning with them, especially because it's conjunct Mercury, and Mercury already rules your 7th house. So there's a lot of emphasis with these things starting for you, involving all one-to-one connections. Some of you legal matters, maybe something new there. Contracts, business dealings are also seen from the 7th house as well. So with that being said, let's look at this week coming into it. We do have that Sun, Mercury, who are still going to be in your 6th house. So Monday, Tuesday, I think will still be really good for your work and routine. I think that's been a very big emphasis for you. So great to be maybe finishing some things up with that, or just continuing to develop whatever this work and routine stuff, day-to-day stuff is. As I said in the general, there might be some healing taking place with a square up to Chiron, maybe some wounds. Maybe it's about your home, family, or health type stuff, which you have been healing lately about this past, what has it been, about 9 months now. So continuing with that healing is excellent. And you'll notice that through this process, Monday, Tuesday, of facing any wounds or taking some actions towards doing some healing, maybe involving this personal stuff or your health or your home, family stuff, is great. And that's rejuvenating you. It's helping you feel refreshed. You may also find, too, that there is something new and different, maybe, and mixing things up with your home life, family life, personal life. Maybe some new insight about your health or something like that. So anyways, that's coming into the week, but Wednesday is really the shifting time. This is when the planets start to go into your 7th house. You've already been, I think, very direct in your relationships, or maybe very motivated or active through your relationships at this time. But yeah, Wednesday is when the Sun and Mercury go into the 7th. So there's this conjunction. It happens at the same time as the planets enter the 7th. So you could, around Wednesday, just maybe there's some new information. Maybe there's some new insight that's then prompting this whole new perspective on relationships. You could be very talkative, very expressive through your one-to-one connections, or about a relationship, or about relationships. And so, yes, expressing this, maybe writing things down, communicating in your relationships in balanced ways, bringing extra attention to the mind and the communications, again, because Mercury is going to be engulfed, right? So combust, and so there can be a lot of fire, a lot of passion. So we do want to make sure we're communicating things in balanced and healthy ways. But yeah, maybe passion, maybe insight, maybe some new ideas unfolding involving these things. Maybe feeling quite adventurous or thinking more adventurously, and maybe also a new beginning with your career with all of this. So really around Friday is the time of listening, being receptive. I think there's some new beginnings with relationships. I think there's some new beginnings with your career, actually, some new beginnings there, setting some intentions. So listen, at the same time, plant some new seeds of your own, and you're going to find that as you go into next week, a lot of these things are being cultivated in this department. All right, so this weekend is when we have some aspects up to your ruler Jupiter. This is a reminder that, yes, there is opportunities with your career, and you may have noticed these starting to shift again the past week when Jupiter went direct. So you're direct now, too, So between like February and just recently, maybe you've been mulling over things, reconsidering things, maybe redoing a lot of this career productive stuff or this big picture stuff. But this weekend, this week, things are already moving forward for you. You're forward moving. I think it's great to expand on anything that's about achievement, success, career, legacy, your productive life. But then over this weekend, Saturday and Sunday of this week, Mars is going to be squaring up to that Jupiter. So you could be feeling like quite rash, maybe, because it's your ruler being squared by Mars. You may feel maybe inhibited or blocked, or maybe there's a lot of frustration. But then again, there's the bottlenecking energy, right? So it's frustrated, it's trying to find an escape. And so if you're feeling that, it is good to take maybe a step back. maybe set something down for a second. Maybe it is involving relationships. Maybe it is involving the career. Maybe it is about you expressing yourself. So it's about tact. It's about balance. It's about taking maybe a step back. But at the same time, when we're coming from a centered place, maybe there are some actions you can challenge yourself towards, some fears you can face perhaps, because Mars is about fears. You know, it naturally rules the 8th house. But maybe there are some fears. Maybe there's something that is an uncomfortable step, but you know is the right step to take. And again, maybe it's involving relationships, your career, or your self-expression. And so taking it in healthy ways. But always, you know, allowing that ego to take the back seat. We want to make sure we're not rash, impulsive, rushing into anything when our ruler is squared by Mars. So with that being said, that Mars is trining Neptune though. So with that, there's also, and especially around Saturday, Sunday, this easygoingness and this receptivity. And maybe it is about communication. Maybe there's some support with relationships, a bit of easygoingness there, in fact. And, you know, this weekend as well, Venus is going to be trending up to Pluto. So we are willing to make changes and transform. And for you, I think this is about your self-expression. I think everything that has to do with, yes, you expressing yourself, also hobbies, interests, and anything that's close to your heart, right? It's a passion of yours. It's been really good to enjoy. You've had Venus in your 5th house, enjoying these things, enjoying the self-expression. And this weekend, a trine from Pluto from your 1st house does suggest that there could be this whole new transformation to the way you express yourself, to your whole perspective of what you value in life that is fun, that is passionate, that is enjoyable, entertaining, creative. And so, yes, making those changes I think is great this weekend. I think you're going to naturally do that anyways. But the more fuel you add to that, the more you're willing to transform any fears about, you know, your self-expression, your enjoyment, your success in life, having a bit of fun in your life, you're going to find that's more fuel to that fire. And also maybe some changes with your work and your routine, maybe with your friends in your network circles, maybe with your aspirations. It's involving a lot of key areas. But fundamentally, you know, with you, Pluto's in your house, in your sign, your 1st house, and so you have been over the past many years uncovering a bunch of patterns and, you know, about yourself and fears and all of this deeper stuff that now you got a lot of positive support with pretty much all week to make some changes with, to face those fears, to transform, to express yourself, to cultivate maybe some of this relationship opportunity or career opportunity, to take some action towards that. Okay. So Sagittarius, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like, comment, and share with your friends and family. It's very much appreciated. And I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. For those of you who've been following the channel. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for these weekly forecasts. I do want to mention that I did just make a change to the one-on-one courses I was offering. It used to only be Skype live sessions. And so what I've added is now video sessions, a video course for learning the whole spectrum of astrology from birth chart analysis to predictive work. So if you've been interested in studying astrology, do check out the video course. There's a link down in the comment section. And yeah, I'm wishing you all the very best week. Take care, and I'll see you all next week. Capricorns, welcome to your weekly forecast. So, first of all, you got a new moon in your 6th house of your work, of your routine, of your day-to-day. So, I think you've already been quite motivated here in this area. You've had Mars in your 6th house already the past few weeks. So, if you have been feeling more motivated to work out or to start that diet and regimen or to put energy into your work, your day-to-day work, now you have a new beginning with this. So, things are kind of in flux up until we have the actual new moon in that area. So that's what's happening this week around Friday, is a new beginning with all these. Some of you might be starting a new work. Some of you a new change to your work. Some of you a new routine, diet, self-improvement, that type of stuff. And I think setting intentions regarding where you can improve, where your work can improve, your skills, your crafts, all of this stuff is great to set intentions with around Friday, but do be receptive because, of course, coming into this week, we are going to be in the balsamic phase. We want to listen. There is insight coming in actually around Wednesday when Mercury and the Sun conjunct. And a lot of the insight, I think, is going to be about, yes, these things. So it's about setting intentions, but also being receptive to where life is taking us with this new beginning involving here your day-to-day. So coming into the week, you're still going to have the Sun, Mercury in your 5th house. I think it's still a great time, especially these first couple days, for expressing yourself or having a bit of fun in your life, creative energy, hobbies, interests, things like that. There might be some wounds, maybe some wounds you can face regarding those things, that self-expression with that square up to Chiron. But again, taking the steps towards those wounds can really help you heal them and maybe try something new and different with that self-expression with a sextile up to Uranus and Venus sextiling Neptune as well. There's some opportunity here coming into the week. So Wednesdays when we have the conjunction with the Sun and Mercury, and yes, there can be, as I was saying in the general, a lot of passion, a lot of ideas. Maybe this is about your self-expression, but I think it's about the shift into what now can be motivating or inspiring or hopeful about your work and routine. So again, it's subtle, but yes, channel this. Maybe draw up a plan, maybe a business plan, or write out your goals for your work and career, because this is starting a whole new yearly cycle with this area. Write down your intentions in terms of your, your health, your regimens, your routines, whatever it is that you may want to start new here. Build some healthy habits. 6th house is all about healthy habits. Habits is really the foundation to our daily life. What we do on a recurring basis is what it builds that within us. It builds that within our character. It builds that within our daily life. But we do have to take that initiative and steps. So building healthy patterns, whatever that means for you personally, is just fantastic. And again, improving your work or developing your work is great as well. So as we go into the weekend, Saturday, Venus trines up to Pluto. There is a lot of positive support here, I think, for changes with your home life, your family life. I think there's a lot of value to be seen here. I think it's still a great week for connecting with your home, family, your health perhaps. But this weekend, maybe there's some changes occurring. Maybe there's some fears you're willing to face, transformation. And a lot of it might be involving you having a bit of fun expressing yourself, right? Venus rules your 5th this weekend. Positive changes there. Maybe some of you making some positive changes with your career actually this weekend. And it's all because you're surrendering, you're letting go. Pluto's been in your 12th. It's been helping you get rid of all that unconscious garbage and fear and stuff that is just operating subconsciously, that as we dive deeper within ourself with, we let go of, we surrender, and that can free you up. Now, along with that, Neptune is trining Mars, so there's more positive energy here for your work and routine. And this could be where you're feeling quite easygoingness. Maybe you're seeing the faith and trust about finances, actually, or about investments, material security, or your sense of self-worth is more easygoing. That's Neptune in good aspect. It's also the South Node, and I'm going to make a separate video about this collectively for everyone. The South Node is subtly leaving Aquarius and going into Capricorn. So it's going into your sign, but this means that it's leaving your 2nd house. So if you have been feeling any of the drawn unhealthy patterns or something towards the financial stuff, that's lifting. It's becoming easier more than likely. But South Node going into your 1st house, this is what I really want to talk about. Now for about the next year and a half, roughly, almost a year and a half, you're going to have this great opportunity here to really, let go of any unhealthy patterns having to do with yourself. It's going to be subtle energy, not just this week, but over these coming weeks, this shift where you're going to see if there's any unhealthy things relating to what you want, to who you are, who you think you are, your self-image, that maybe you've been unhealthy in the past. Individualism. Sometimes we prevent ourselves from doing things because we have a rigid sense of self, or sometimes we just say, oh, that's just the way we are, so we don't grow, we don't change. So anything you can do over these coming weeks, and as I said, shifting into the next year and a half, of letting go of any unhealthy beliefs of self, unhealthy beliefs of what you might need in your life, your goals, your ambitions that are maybe just getting you caught up into past patterns and past ruts. Is about breaking those patterns. This is about making those transformations and changes when the South Node is in the first house. All right, so anyways, back to this weekend, because this is the emphasis this weekend with Neptune. Yeah, there's easygoingness about your values. It's all supporting whatever these new beginnings are with your routine and your work. And a big part of this weekend too is going to be Mars squaring Jupiter, which is a reminder that there's been plenty of opportunities for you to expand your horizons. Some of you through philosophy, spirituality, others through travel, adventure. Some of you, fundamentally all of you just thinking big, seeing the potentials in your life. That's where the opportunities have been to expand your mental horizons, your belief systems with Jupiter in that ninth. So it's a weekend where I think it's about seeing those opportunities, staying balanced, of course. Again, Mars squared Jupiter. We don't want to go to any over or under extremes, but know the opportunities are there and take some steps and actions if you are guided towards, expanding your horizons. I think you might find that, this is a larger cycle. There's something larger at work. Maybe it does require some patience or something like that, but there can be some steps in the right direction involving some of that stuff. Even maybe involving your home life, family life, your location, or your health, and maybe even your network circles, your groups, your friends, your community, stuff like that as well, actually. Because that's really been the emphasis. Saturn has been transiting your 11th house it's been about a year and a half now. But now he's retrograde, so you're reconsidering, redoing, rethinking what it means to have community, what it means to have friends, and rethinking that area, and also redoing and rethinking your aspirations, future hopes and wishes. All right, it's a time of cultivating those, but maybe it's about rethinking them as well while you cultivate them. All right, Capricorn, so have a fantastic week. I want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. I do have an announcement to make. I recently made a change to the Sidereal Astrology course. It used to only be one-on-one Skype sessions, but now I've added 8 video sessions to that. So basically everything I do in the Skype session is now recorded in video format. So it's a video course, and it's more affordable because it doesn't require my time, so I can put those videos there. But I do communicate with you via email. So as you have questions throughout the course, you can contact me. It's great because it's more affordable, and it's also more leisurely. You can kind of go at your own pace, study at your own pace. So anyways, if you've been thinking about studying astrology, it covers both birth chart analysis and predictive work, to do it both for your personal chart and also others' charts as well. So do check that out. There's a link down in the comment section. So Capricorn, I'm wishing you all the very best week. Thank you again, and I will see you all next week. Take care. Aquarius, welcome to your weekly forecast. So this week you got a new moon in your 5th house. This is the house of fun. It's the house of playfulness. It's the house of creativity. It's the house of children. It's the house of romance and hobbies, interests, anything that's close to your heart or you create, and fundamentally having fun and expressing yourself. So I think there's been already a lot of motivation here, or at least a lot of you have been expressing yourself in very direct ways lately, with Mars transiting that 5th house over the past few weeks. But now this week you've got Mercury and the Sun going into your 5th house. So Wednesday, you'll start to notice that shift. So there's going to be a conjunction with the Sun and Mercury. There can be a lot of insight. Maybe there's some passion or some ideas about what you do find fun and what you do find that is close to your heart that you want to spend some more time with or cultivate or create. And that's going to be setting the stage for the new beginning. So it is a receptive time. You certainly want to be listening, even though I think the passion will be there. The energy will be there. You could be quite expressive with the Sun conjunct Mercury anyways, but in the 5th house could certainly be emphasizing that. But yeah, be receptive because, it's a great time to set intentions. But this is a spiritual time, the new moon. And life is taking us in a new direction. So life is taking you in a new direction, something having to do with this creative self-expression. And as you're receptive to this, you'll start to see what that is. Give it some time. It'll go into next week. But plant some seeds of your own, but also see what new seeds you're planting. And I think you'll notice a lot of this being cultivated as you go into next week. So looking at this week coming into it, we do have some aspects. The Sun Mercury will still be in your 4th house of home, of family, of your health. And so that's been what the whole last cycle was about. So maybe you're finishing up some things with that, or maybe you're still focused on it. Maybe there's some healing you're doing involving your health or your home, family, past, things like that. But no, it's subjective. It's the square to Chiron. It doesn't represent anything objective. These are inner wounds. So it's an internal reflection, not an external reflection. So do that inner healing. Do be aware of these wounds. Maybe take some actions in the face of these wounds. Maybe it has to do with your sense of value. Maybe it has to do with your resources or your finances. And again, also your home, family, or health. And I think as you're proactive in those areas, you'll find that through that action, you're healing and rejuvenating. There's also some opportunities here with the sextiles up to Chiron coming into the week for finances or investments, or again, your sense of self-worth, mixing things up, trying something new and different there can be great. Venus is sextiling Neptune as well coming into the week. Again, it's an opening week of opportunity. And so this could be some easygoingness, especially with Neptune in your 1st house, and enjoying communication, maybe enjoying learning, reading, writing, maybe some of you business and trade, some of you maybe connecting with your siblings or your peers or your community. It's just an opening for that, but it is certainly easygoing and could be enjoyable these first couple days. And then Wednesdays, when we have the conjunction and the shift into the 5th house, that's when there's that energy or insight about what this new beginning is, about your self-expression. And then Friday, the new beginning, subtly taking place with that. Now, this weekend, Venus is going to be trining Pluto. So again, positive support here for learning and communication. Pluto in your 11th house is well aspected. And so I think there is some changes occurring, positive changes with your friends or your network circles, your community, maybe with your aspirations. That is very supportive. Maybe there's some positive changes to your home life, your family life, and even your health, which is very positive. Even to your belief systems. All right, thinking big, seeing the big potentials in life. Venus rules your 9th house of beliefs. And so with Pluto in this very supportive aspect this week, I think there's a lot of changes occurring in a lot of different areas. And I think the more open you are to change, I think you'll find that to be a positive force, probably involving those key areas. Now, Saturday and Sunday also has Mars squaring up to Jupiter and trining Neptune from your 1st. So the square up to Jupiter is a reminder that there are opportunities here to connect to life on a deeper level, right? And you may have noticed a lot of this shifting last week. When Jupiter went direct. So things are now forward moving for you all week, but this weekend there's an aspect with it, so it might be activated. But things are moving forward for you to, yes, connect deeply, to learn more about yourself psychologically, to maybe have more openness and vulnerability with yourself, with life, with your relationships, right? And even to where you can share and maybe cultivate your interdependency, to rely on others a little bit. We live in an interdependent world, and we can't do everything on our own. So, and why would we want to? So it's depending on others, and it's enjoying a bit of trust in others, whether it's emotional and or physical, a material. And there could be some opportunities with that. So this weekend, it's a reminder of that. There is some actions that maybe you can take. Do be very grounded with it. Mars squaring Jupiter can imbalance us. We can be a bit over or under optimistic about the whole thing. And As long as we're balanced, though, I think it's a great weekend for cultivating a bit of the depth, a bit of the openness and trust, as well as expressing yourself. And there could even be some opportunities with productive life or your career, even communication, some support there with those things. Now, Mars trining Neptune to all of this means that Mars it's all very positive. You know, Jupiter is a positive planet. The trine to Neptune is a positive aspect. So this fifth house is getting a lot of support. So here you could just be very easygoing with your self-expression. Maybe you are trying a new creative pursuit or hobby or interest over the weekend, spending time, again, with those you're passionate about. And Neptune in the first house, just having a bit of flow with yourself. You know, just feeling like we don't always need to know who we are, where we're headed. We can enjoy the present moment. We can enjoy things for how they are, and I think you'll be willing to do that this weekend. I do want to mention Aquarius. I'm going to make a separate video about this, but you do have the South Node slowly leaving your sign here this week. Give it time. This is a very slow-moving, not really planet, but planet, as we call it in astrology. The South Node leaving your sign. This means that there is less of this, more focus if you've been feeling like maybe the past year and a half of like breaking some patterns and deeper stuff involving you and having to do with releasing ideas of yourself and unhealthy patterns of yourself and all of this, and even past life stuff, past life karma being released. This is now lifting up. South Node's leaving your sign, going into your 12th, which is a more familiar energy for the South Node. It's about spirituality. And I think for the next year and a half, you'll find that maybe there are some healthy changes you can make so you can have some peace and tranquility in your life. But anyways, yes, there's certainly this lifting up, South Node leaving your sign. And if you do notice that lift where, it's not so maybe challenging with your goals, challenging with who you are, where you're headed, because there's been all this past karma that you've been clearing with that, yes, that shift is subtly taking place. All right, Aquarius, so have a fantastic week. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares with these videos. I have recently made a change to the astrology course that I offer. I've added a video course, which is essentially the exact same course I was doing before, but before I was doing it only one-on-one. So I've recorded this course, the same material as the one-on-one course, so do check that out. There's a link down in the comment section. It's more affordable. It's also great because you can study at your own leisure. If you've been interested in studying astrology, do check that out. It covers both birth chart analysis as well as predictive work, so the full spectrum of astrology. So Aquarius, have a great week. Thank you again, and I'll see you all next week. Pisces, welcome to your weekly forecast. All right, so we have a new moon in your 4th house of home, family, location, and your health. These are just some examples, but this is essentially everything in your life that is a foundation. That is a foundation in your life, such as your personal life and your health, your body, these types of things. So there's a new beginning here. I think it's nothing new because you've already had Mars transiting that 4th house. So a lot of you have been finding that that's the good outlet of your energy at this time. It's a lowered energy time because you have all these planets at the bottom of your chart. But to channel the energy, to gain the energy, maybe getting in good health, physical exercise like that. Maybe, moving things around your home, what do they call it, renovating or just reorganizing, things like this. So putting the energy into your home, your personal life, your health, I think is great and will continue to be great this week. But now with the Sun and Mercury shifting into the 4th around Wednesday, you're going to start to notice probably more of a focus on this area. And on Friday, a new beginning with this area. Some of you might be starting something new with family. Some of you might be moving to a new location. Some of you might be renovating. Some of you might have this whole new perspective on your health and starting a whole new connection with your body and your health. And, listening to your intuition and to your body and all this type of stuff. It's very intuitive here. And a new beginning, too, about the importance of your roots. Your family, yes, in this life, but also past family, your ancestry, and even past lives even. It's the 4th house. It's very intuitive. It's very much about all past related things. So you can be very reflective in that sense as well. But anyways, listen around Friday for what these new beginnings are. I think they will be unfolding, especially as we go into next week. Do set some intentions, but also be receptive because life is taking you in a brand new direction here with these matters. Around Wednesday, maybe there are some insights with that Sun-Mercury conjunction, maybe even giving you some passion about some of these roots in your life, personal life stuff, maybe expressive, talkative here. Or just, some ideas. So it's all laying the framework for these new beginnings with that. And then coming into the week, you're still going to have, I think, some energy with your 3rd house. It'll still be great for learning, communication. If there's been anything you've been doing on a practical sense lately, it's the first good couple days to do that. And then we do have some squares to Chiron. Maybe there's some wounds, as I was saying. Generally, we could be healing. Maybe for you, it's about your communication. Maybe it's about learning. Maybe it's about yourself. Chiron is in your sign. And so, lately, I think it's been about 9 months now, Chiron's been in your sign, really helping you heal any wounds relating to your confidence, relating to who you are, your independence. And so any wounds that do come up around Monday, Tuesday, yes, go into them. Take action. Go into that 1st house. Set the goals. Assert yourself. Do the independent thing, whatever it is that you feel wounded towards, that you feel like if you did, you would feel healed as a result. Maybe it's a good idea to take those steps. And you could be feeling quite free and expressive coming into the week. We have some sextiles with Uranus going to the Sun and Mercury. So this is all about being yourself. Over the past 8 years, a lot of you have been really accessing your true self. All right, creating freedom and change and excitement in your life. And although it's not going to be a major thing this week, coming into the week, there could be another opportunity to have more freedom in your life in general. Venus sextile Neptune, another opportunity coming into the week, here to maybe enjoy some of your values. Venus in your 2nd house is helping you enjoy your material life at this time. This could be a good meal, relaxation. Some of you are attracting finances to you at this time, or learning more about what you value, connecting to what you value. All right, learning more about that. And so there's positive support with that, especially this weekend after this new moon, after this sort of new beginning that's unfolding with your personal life. Venus trines Pluto Saturday. And so there's a lot of positive changes here. I think it's involving, again, your finances or your resources. Some of you are going to make some powerful changes there. Others with your career. I think they're linked in a sense, right? As they often are. They trine each other, the 2nd and 10th house. But Pluto's been helping you transform your career for the past many years already. And so this is about stripping away attachments to achievement, to success, being open to change. The more open you are to change, the more you are the one changing. And it's you actively participating in that. So great weekend for change with productive achievement, success with your resources, finances, your sense of self-worth, even your communication could be changing. And you could be feeling quite deep over the weekend as well, actually, in a positive way. Saturday, Sunday also has Mars squaring up to your ruler Jupiter. So important weekend for you. I think this is a reminder that since last week when Jupiter went direct, a lot of you are now starting to, even though it's a low energy time, as I said, you're starting to come out a little bit. You know, your ruler's direct, is gaining momentum. So a lot of the stuff you've been maybe reconsidering or rethinking since February is moving forward this week. And maybe a lot of it's about relationships, because that's what's emphasized for you in a yearly sense. One-to-one connections, new relationships, existing ones, romantic, business partnerships, all types of one-to-one connections. So that's a reminder this weekend in particular that there are opportunities here. It's about seizing them. It's about cultivating them. With that being said, since Mars is squaring your ruler, you may feel Saturday and Sunday that you're wanting to come out of the gates. Maybe you're feeling rash or impulsive. Maybe not. because again, Mars at the bottom of the chart. Maybe you're just feeling a bit bottlenecked, frustrated, or blocked in some sense. So if you're feeling it like that, do take a step back. Sometimes with the square to Mars, we do need to take a step back, set it down for a second, whatever it is, and then come back to it. But there is this energy that is maybe saying there are some steps you can take, and healthy steps, balanced steps, right? Without any over or under extremes of rushing, rashness, and not taking action. Those are the two extremes. So taking action one step at a time towards, yes, cultivating those relationships, and then also too, your personal life, right? Your home, family, and health. Great weekend for developing that. In fact, I think more of the personal life stuff will become easier. There's an easier energy about it this weekend because Neptune is trining up to that Mars Saturday, Sunday. So I think there's an easygoingness about all this, even about your sense of self-worth, your self-reliance, your values. You're feeling probably quite open-minded this weekend in an easygoing way, and you're just willing to go with the flow when it comes to this personal life stuff, which again is unfolding going into next week. So there's a little bit of both. There's on one hand, there's this square. On the other hand, there's this easygoingness. It's all pivoting here with the new beginnings about this personal life stuff. And it could be a great weekend for developing that and cultivating that in healthy ways, seeing opportunities while also going with the flow. All right, so Pisces, have an excellent week. I do want to thank you all very much for all of your likes, comments, and shares. I do want to say that I've recently made some changes to the Sidereal Astrology course. It used to only be one-on-one video sessions, live sessions, but I've recently added a video a recording of each of the sessions. So it's an 8-video course, covers the exact same thing as the one-on-one course. So if you've been thinking about studying astrology, do check that out. It covers both birth chart analysis as well as predictive work like what we're doing here today, the full spectrum. And yeah, it's more affordable now because it's videos, doesn't take up my time. And it's also more convenient for you because you can take your time with it and study at your own pace. So yeah, if you've been interested in learning astrology or been thinking about it, do check that out. There's a link in the comment section. But Pisces, I'm wishing you all the very best week. Thank you again for all of your support, and I will see you all next week. Take care.